I got some questions from people on Facebook and via Messenger, just asking about this investigation on the two boys missing in
Mhm.
California City, and I wanted to go through them with you. Some of them I couldn't include all of them, but here are a few of them. The first
Yeah.
question: are the boys alive?
I have no reason to believe they're not at this time. Again, I've said it through this whole thing. I remain absolutely optimistic that they're alive, and I have to believe that unless I find some sort of proof or evidence of that it's different.
And what might have happened to the boys? What scenarios are possible in this situation?
There's 1,000 different scenarios that you know. Let your imagination run wild. Um, what I do truly believe is that night there's no way that they could have got out of that the neighborhood without some sort of assistance from an adult. That's my belief.
And so, in past situations with missing cases, is that usually the case that it's someone familiar that is involved in the investigation or something like that?
Um, it's always situationally driven, and I can't point fingers. I mean, we always start from the inside out, of course. The people closest to them, the people who've seen them last. That's who we start with. We always look at family first, especially with kids that young. We have to, and then it branches out from there depending on which way the evidence goes. But we can only work with what we're given.
And earlier, I know in our first interview in front of the house on Aspen Avenue, you said that you suspected foul play. And do you still think that, and why or why not?
Absolutely, it goes back to I personally believe that there's no way those kids got out of that neighborhood without some sort of assistance. So if there was an adult that assisted them or took them out of the neighborhood, that would constitute foul play.
So, exactly, what constitutes foul play? It doesn't necessarily mean abuse. It just it means
Foul, well, foul play means that someone has taken the children and not divulged to their parents where they're at. That's just, I mean, we'll start basic 101 right there.
someone
And
else got involved in the.
somehow, someone, absolutely. Again, if I believe that they didn't get out alone, so someone had to have done that and has not reported to us because everybody in the, I would imagine, at least in the nation now, knows we're looking for these kids, has not reported it, then that would constitute foul play because the only people those kids are supposed to be with are their parents.
So, right now, are there any persons of interest?
Oh, there's dozens of persons of interest. We have nobody specific. We have no specific suspects, no specific people. No one's been charged. We brought no charges so far. But again, we're continuing the investigation. I know a lot of people believe we've given up. That's not true. We still get leads. We still get clues every day that we follow up on if they're viable. You know, I can't. If someone says, "Hey, we saw them at the Rite Aid yesterday at 10 o'clock in the morning," am I going to send somebody over there to review the cameras from yesterday at 10 o'clock in the morning? Absolutely, I'm going to. If somebody says, "Well, I think they're near the water somewhere," I can't follow up on that. I need specifics. So I need a direction to go. I just can't spin in a circle or have my people spin in a circle looking on a maybe or I think or I thought. But if you give me a specific place and a time or a specific person to talk to, we're still doing that. And it's not just us.
And going on that, as you say, that you're still working on this investigation, still,
I have dedicated resources in my department. Uh, Bakersfield has dedicated resources in their department. We've got the FBI involved. We've got the Kern County Sheriff's involved. We've got the Kern County District Attorney involved. There's still a ton of people working on this. We have not by any means given up.
So recently, it was the 2 month anniversary of when the boys went missing, and I know it's been a while. And I've asked you this a few times because every time we speak, it seems like the days get longer and the days turn into months. Is it possible that this case will go cold and that we'll never know what happened to these boys?
Of course, it's possible. I mean, anything is possible, but go cold. That would mean that we'd stop looking or we'd stop following up on clues, and that's not going to happen. You know, we will continue to follow up on any clues. We will continue to do the follow up until we know something different. So there's a lot of semantics involved there. Cold case. What does that mean, really? A cold case is never really cold. It's just not being actively investigated. I've got 8 cold cases here at California City as we speak, and they're all being investigated on a daily basis. So, that's a TV term, I think.
Okay. I know the city is voting tonight, or they're deciding in the city council meeting to renew the reward money for anyone who can find the boys. And I know they're planning to do that consistently. They're trying to keep that money for any missing persons case. Even if we find
Correct.
Orrin and Orson West, they might
Yes.
extend that money to other missing persons cases as well.
Mhm.
Um, so it seems, that the city and that you are still, actively trying to pursue missing persons cases, even the ones that there's currently 8 cold cases, or not cold cases, but previous missing persons cases still.
No, that's not true. We've only got 2 active missing persons as we speak. We've got
Yeah.
um, 8 cases that we're still investigating. 6 of those are homicides and 2 of them are missing. Now, those are all adult cases.
Okay.
So again, a missing adult doesn't necessarily mean there was foul play. Could there possibly be? Sure. But adults are adults and they're free to go wherever they want to go, and they're not necessarily have to tell anybody where they're going. So someone reports a missing, okay, we've got an open missing person investigation that goes into our missing person system, and if anybody nationwide comes in contact with that person, then that will immediately pop up on the database.
So are you starting to think that this case is part of something larger, something like human trafficking, or I know a lot of people ask me about that.
I can't rule that out. I can't rule anything out. Of course, it's possible. Anything until we know different, everything is still in play. So, we need specific facts to prove otherwise.
And but just so you guys are considering all of these viable options.
Absolutely.
And how certain are you that the boys are not in the Aspen Avenue house? I know when you first did the interview, when you first spoke with us outside that house, that I think it was December 23rd, you told us, the canines smelled the scent of the boys inside the house. They didn't smell it leaving the house. It seems like that would imply that they're still there. And how certain are you that they're not?
Excuse me I have to smile on that. Like, I am 110% certain those boys are not in that house. I've been in there numerous times. We've searched every possible place in that house. I know people believe that there's secret rooms and there's a basement and there's false walls, and we've searched every possible nook and cranny in that house multiple times. And I am absolutely certain we've searched the backyard multiple times. We've searched underground the backyard with different technology multiple times with nothing. The dogs aren't always 100% accurate. We've had the dogs in the house. That night they alerted inside the house, but they didn't alert outside. Doesn't mean anything. We use those as tools that maybe will point us one way or the other. Just like people keep asking about polygraph. Polygraph is not admissible in court. Is it a tool? Sure. Can I believe at some point that maybe that you are being deceptive by the results of the test? Sure. But it's only a tool. It's only a tool to help us go in a certain direction. But right now, we don't have any of that, unfortunately.
So did the adoptive parents take a polygraph test in the beginning?
I can't comment on that.
Is it possible that the boys wandered into the desert that night? I know you suspect foul play, but is that also something you're considering?
If I had to bet my house on it, I would say no, because we searched thoroughly that night. We brought in airship with infrared, no hits. Again, we searched that whole desert a week later within a 5 square mile perimeter around the house. We found nothing. It doesn't mean they're not there, but I am super confident that, I know little kids are really fast, but I know they have no stamina. So they might take off like a shot, but they're only good for 20 or 30 yards in my experience. But not saying that can happen, but I am super confident they're not somewhere around. I truly believe they just didn't wander off in the desert that night and we haven't found them.
It was also a very cold night. I believe it was. I remember that day. I checked. It was about 30 degrees Fahrenheit.
Right. Again, we'll slow them down.
Could you explain that infrared technology you just mentioned? What was used?
Yeah, we basically had a helicopter with what they call the FLIR. A FLIR will detect body heat. It's pretty sophisticated. I did have the opportunity in my previous career, law enforcement career, that I got to actually work in a airship, and it's basically like a scope that'll go over any territory, any land, and it'll pick up anything that's got body heat. And adults are generally 98, 97, 98 degrees. It'll pick that up in the dark, and it shows up like a beam, basically.
Wow, so it's a helicopter that goes around and detects body heat, searching for body heat, basically.
It has the ability to do that, yes. Along with other things, they've got the night sun. That's the big. They call it the night sun, the big light, the big searchlight. But also they're equipped with the FLIR, and the FLIR will pick up body heat.
And that was sent out the night that they went.
It was deployed that night, yeah, to the best of my knowledge.
Was it one or multiple?
I think we had at least one in the air the whole time.
Hey guys. Oh, I watched the interview, the portion about the search, 2-3 times in a row just now, and you're starting to get, I guess, some more of what law enforcement theory is. Although it's kind of direct, it's also vague in its design. So it's a pretty smart on the fly. Like I would say that this portion is one of his better interviews. So to break down what my interpretation, he said that there was no way he thought they left the gate without help. Now, I guess he's thinking they left the gate. I think we all think we know that they left the gate. Now, he also said something about, my verbiage is going to be generic. It's not going to be, the exact verbiage verbatim. But so somebody took the kids and hasn't returned them back to the parents. That, I don't know if it seemed that seemed like an angle, right? It seemed like he said, he's saying that, that there's dozens, you touched on a lot of things. There's dozens of suspects, polygraph is not admissible. We know we know that stuff, but when he did kind of narrowed the road as far as, some sort of official narrative from him. And, saying that they left the gate is a commitment to the idea that they left the gate. And the fact that someone took them and hasn't returned them back to the parents is it in my opinion, is him making a statement leaning away from Jacqueline and Trezell. I don't know what's the play on that. I don't know. And please comment below if you have an opinion on what that play is. I'd like to hear everyone's opinion. Although I'm just trying to interpret what I think the chief was saying, and kind of, it's common sense, right? Sorry, I'm kind of stumbling around, but I'm trying to process it as well as talk about it so that I can get on to other pressing business. But, and I'm also not going to speak about the reward part anymore. Like that was strange. Anyways, but we can solidify the fact that it's been scanned with FLIR and the night sun. It's had at least one in the air at all times, he said. So that they've covered a lot of ground, and with an aircraft, they can cover a lot of ground over and over and over. They can cover a lot of ground, for long distances. So it's, they have a formula for how they do that too. And I think that you can kind of corroborate some of the things he's saying by not having found anything in the desert, because they have to respond to every lead and call within reason. But that helicopter with some of that technology is what we use over in Afghanistan and Iraq to do the business. So it works. Proof of concept. The war. It's the same technology. Or what you see on these law enforcement shows, cops or whatever, where it's black and white, you can see all of that. So, but I do want to come back to what he said about the family. He said that somebody's got the kids and they haven't returned them to the family. To me, that's pretty clear that he's kind of allied with the West. Tell me what you think below. Sorry that it's kind of a rerun of the interview, but I just wanted to segment them together so that it would not just kind of be, what is this video about? Because I've had a lot of people say certain things, I had good information, but they didn't know actually what I was referring to. So what I'm referring to now is that interview. you guys can go through and listen to that Bumble talk about the reward and all that other stuff. I'm not going to put that up. That's the problem with it now, is the money that's involved, whether it be right now money or that potential money. It's just all the money is just screwy, isn't it? Like any dollar bills that have to do with this case are just, scrupulous. It's all blood money. All of it is blood money. I understand out there doing what you do, like Doug does, but you need what you need to make the day-to-day search, like the gouging. Anyways, guys, tell me what you think about the technology, their search efforts that I think that they look very confident. I think that they look very capable. So, my take is that, I'm gonna kind of focus my efforts based upon what is going to be coming in the next few days, I feel, with new developments. We didn't hear anything about any real life sightings. That doesn't reject or select the idea that there was a sighting, but there just hasn't been anything jumping off about that. And you also got to know that the way the things work, that there's on some of these things there's a delay between what happens in real life and what pops up on here, and that could be anywhere from minutes, hours, or days. So bear all that in mind. But comment below about what you think about their search efforts, what technology they have involved. Oh, also, I didn't touch on the dog. A dog is it's a mammal, and it's subject to bad days. There's a lot of different things, that can influence a dog to not do what you think it should be doing right then, right? Like, and so that's also proof and concept that the canine is just not, A1 super solid science like DNA. The dog is subject to any number of variables. Comment below, like, share, subscribe, and let me know what you think, guys. Appreciate it.